Where is Moses' name? In this week's Torah portion, we read of a song the Jewish people sang. This was a song of praise for the water that was produced for them in the desert. The background of the story is like this. Miriam, Moses' sister, the righteous Miriam, was responsible for the supply of water in the desert. When she passed away, the water ceased flowing from the rock. So God says to Moses, after the people complained, to speak to the rock, and the rock would produce water. Moses got upset at the people for being so rebellious and argumentative, so he struck the rock instead of speaking to it, and the water started to flow from the rock. As a result, Moshe was punished that he would not live to cross over the Jordan into the Promised Land, and the people were singing praise. Just like they sang praise when they crossed the Red Sea, they're singing praise because of the miracle of the water in the desert. And Rashi notices that there's an omission, a glaring omission. In the entire song, there is no mention of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moses is not mentioned. Why isn't he mentioned? Because the water that came about, the miracle, was at his expense. Moshe was punished because of how he produced the water, by striking the rock instead of speaking to it. And then Rashi says, why is God's name absent? You're singing praise to God, and God's name is not even mentioned once. And Rashi says this is like a parable of a king who comes to a party, and he sees that his closest friend, his closest ally is not there. And the king says, where is my friend? He's not there. Well, he's not there, I don't want to be there. And God says, if Moshe isn't there, then I don't want to be there. So the question could be asked. We find a similar pattern in an earlier section of the Torah. Moses, when the Jewish people worship the golden calf, God threatens to destroy them, and Moshe says to God, erase me from your book. And God granted him his request. And there's one section in the Torah, the Parsha of Tetzaveh, in which Moshe's name is not mentioned at all. Because Moshe said, I'm willing to die, I'm willing to give my life and take me out of your book, erase me if you don't forgive the Jewish people, and God did forgive them. And Moshe's name, therefore, is not mentioned. But God's name is mentioned there. So what's the difference? In this case, in this song where Moshe's name is absent, God says, I don't want to be there. In the other earlier situation with the golden calf, Moses' name is not mentioned in that section, but God's name is mentioned repeatedly. If we think about it, they're totally different situations. In the case of Moshe pleading with God and saying, erase me from your book, his name is not mentioned, not because he was diminished. On the contrary, he was elevated. This demonstrated the degree to which Moses was willing to sacrifice everything that he had, everything that was dear to him. His association with the Torah was being eliminated, you could say, because he wanted to save and spare the Jewish people. That's Moshe's essence that transcends his name. That's how Hasidic thought explains the absence of Moshe in Parshas Tetzaveh, in that section of the Torah. But in this case over here, Moshe was diminished. Moshe lost his presence in this song because his stature was diminished, because he got upset at the people, he struck the rock. That means that his relationship with the people was diminished. And therefore, since he was diminished, God says, I don't want to be part of it. I don't want to be part of my beloved one's diminution. But then we still have another question. How could it be that Moses, who was the ultimate lover of the people, the ultimate shepherd, he's referred to as, in Aramaic, Raya Mehemna, the faithful shepherd, how could a faithful shepherd lose his love for his people? And he got angry at them and he struck the rock. And the answer is, Moshe did not change at all. Moshe's relationship with the people was just as powerful as it was before. It was the people who were not receptive to Moshe. And when people are not receptive to the love that was showered upon them by Moshe, then it diminished their ability to receive from Moshe. You see, the way it works with our relationship with God and our relationship with our leaders, spiritual leaders, our relationship with Moses, and our relationship with Mashiach, our relationship with the Rebbe, is one that if we distance ourselves from him, from them, then they become distant from us. Not because they want to go away from us, but we lose our receptivity to them. There was a great chassid known as Rabbi Masmid, a very holy Jew who perished in the Holocaust. And there was a point in time when the previous Rebbe was ill and it affected his speech. Like, people couldn't understand his words. And this chassid would say, look how bad we have become. Look how unrefined we are that we can't understand the Rebbe's words. He didn't feel that the Rebbe was paralyzed and handicapped. He felt that he was handicapped, that the less that we are receptive to someone, the less that person can communicate with us. That's how it works in the spiritual realm. The more we show our determination, steadfast commitment to Moshe, to the Rebbe, to Mashiach, the more they will show and shower their love upon us.